How's it going, guys? And welcome back to the Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod Matt K.
Yo.
Mod Kieran.
Hey.
Mod Ronan.
Hello.
Mod Jed.
Hey.
And Mod Ash.
Hello. I'm back.
Oh dear.
The magic of modern technology.
That's our excitement.
we teleported him in from America.
You can tell we're in kind of the technology industry from the special effects we use. Anyway, I'm not officially here today. I just wandered in with donuts, and anyway, I'm here.
Got press games.
Welcome back. 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks, 2 Q&As, right? 2 Q&As without Ash.
I think just one, actually.
Was it just one?
This was going to be the second one without
This
me.
should have been the second one. That's right. Okay. Man. Alrighty then. The chat's going to calm down momentarily. We'll get into the questions. First one. Let's recap today's updates. Anybody?
So yeah, we had some Tithe minigame updates. So there's a few new rewards you can get from there. There's a seed box, which will hold 6 different seeds. There's a farmer's outfit, which will give you a XP boost, similar to the trawler outfit, lumberjack outfit. And there's Zaya recolors. So if you have 100% favor in a house, you can now go to an NPC in the Shazian area, and he'll recolor your gear for 15 marks of grace per piece, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. And of course, Tournament Worlds.
And Crucible bottles
The one I keep
from
forgetting.
fishing.
In addition, the only patch note worth noting is the Karamja store, is that right?
Yeah, you now need the hard or elite gloves in order to get the bonus there, the additional gold, which is a nice change, I think. Stop spotters taking advantage of it.
Should we acknowledge the congrats Ashes?
I think we should.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very good. Very good. All right. That
There's a few
pathetic
you
little
can still
clap
try that
Ronan.
yourselves.
All right. On to the questions. Jake asks, why no claws with today's update?
They weren't quite ready to go today. We had a couple of animations still left to go. Alfred's remade it, so it looks nice and smooth now. So they will be coming out next week, I believe.
No,
Week after,
potentially.
potentially. Okay.
Yeah. 2 weeks time, because
Maybe.
we'll also be launching the stat changing abilities as
yeah.
well. So you'll be able to right-click the tournament supplies chest and be able to set your combat stats to anything you want. And we'll also add lower level gear into the chest as well, so that you can just, if you want to try out pure setups rather than just max combat setups, you'll be able to do that as well. And we'll add claws in at that point.
Yeah, courtesy of Jed for that one. Oh, there's a cool update.
Yeah, it's all really cool.
Cool idea.
And to clarify, that is just Tournament Worlds. That's
Yeah.
adding clause to Tournament Worlds, not Old School.
That's a good thing to clarify.
Yeah, I think we figured out that if we've got this nice safe environment, we can stick anything we want in it, really.
I was using the D claws a bit early.
Yeah, Coruscays as well. We could stick in there if we wanted to, couldn't we?
Coruscant?
I
I know who you mean. I've just not heard it called that before.
Coruscant.
Sword.
Are you
Is that
saying
how it's
Coruscant?
actually pronounced?
I don't know.
All the
That's a
time, is it
word I
actually
haven't
pronounced
heard before.
Coruscant?
That's how I've always pronounced it.
Coruscant.
I've never heard that ever.
Unbelievable.
Well, we have now. So that. What else could we put in
I
there?
don't think we should ever put Karasi even in just the
I
tournament servers.
love Karasi.
Nah.
It's totally broken, but it's so fun to use. Same with claws. I love them.
PvP armors. That was one of the other discussions we had about whether to get that in there, but we need to
That
make
sounds
all
fun.
those first.
Take a bit more doing that one, so
Yes, indeed. But a nice safe environment where we could stick anything overpowered.
We could make them all look just like a rune armor, but it's a bit pants.
Yes.
well, yeah, just gets the sandpit where we can play. Doesn't mean things have to look like they're made of sand.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Ready on?
getting metaphorical there.
Let's move on then. Abyssal Whip asks, when will we get to see Dragon Claws in the Tournament Worlds? We've kind of already answered that with a soon TM.
Yeah.
All right. Follow up to that, any chance you can add things like the Curses Prayers to the tournament servers?
Yeah, that'd be a bit more hard work, I think, even than PvP armor, wouldn't it?
Might need plugging in a few places.
Yes. And the whole thing about the tournament servers is stuff which is quick and easy to do is makes it ideal for it, which we had the models already, the animation sort of already, although it should be better.
And the code essentially already exists for the claw special attack.
Exactly. So it was nice, easy stuff to do, really.
And that was why it was such a handy thing that we did that April event last year's April 1st, because that's why we've got some of the graphics already available for them.
Indeed.
To those asking about double XP, we're not doing double XP. We never will do double XP, likely.
Probably not. No.
Definitely not at the moment. So if you see somebody doing a stream saying there's not, then don't click that. Okay, moving on. Cuddles asks, could we perhaps see some type of mini game in Zay which is based off stealing creation? Yep, it's another stealing creation question.
I think that stealing creation it's actually really quite nice as a piece of design. Like you go in there, you use your skills to make stuff, you use it to fight people and get their stuff, and that way skillers and combaters get to do stuff.
See, I saw there's a suggestion on Reddit a while ago, and it got brought up again recently, of the idea of combining Soul Wars and stealing creation. So essentially, you would use your skills to build an avatar.
Stealing Wars.
Yes, that would work. Or
Soul creation.
Soul creation, yes.
We've got that.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So combining the two, you can create avatars. Maybe the whole idea is the avatars fight, and PvP is obviously in there as well. Something down that line would probably be the best. If we were to ever do a minigame, combining the two that people want probably might be a good idea.
I do like a minigame where you have to go in there and use what you can make with your various skills.
Yeah.
Because so often we have a combat experience where you just buy the stuff in advance.
Yeah. And I think it's a really cool element. It takes what's so fun about stealing creation,
Yep.
and you offer something similar to Soul Wars at the same time. It's
Yeah.
I think that is the big thing with stealing creation and Soul Wars as well, is we've always been quite against the idea of just doing them as they were in Old School, because it would be a massive job.
Consider the
lot of ways.
number of models involved in, say, the corporeal beast. Alfred's quicker now than he was then, but all the same, he was on that beast for quite a long time. It only had about 11 custom models involved.
yeah. If we were at the same time, relative to when it was released, and we could just use the same models, it would be a lot easier.
Yes, that would be really quite nice. However, Stealing Creation and Soul Wars both had some pretty complex custom stuff involved in it.
Yeah.
Even before Familiars turned up in Stealing Creation.
Imagine if we did it, we would be reusing a lot of assets as well.
That's the way we like to roll.
Yeah.
So creating, even the obelisks for their tourney things, or the scenery, or the custom kind of reeds that you got around the Soul Wars Island, we don't technically need all that stuff. Like, I imagine a lot of players would be very happy saying, screw the scenery, we just want, no, not actually do that, but never mind the scenery, we just want to have the gameplay experience. And yet, for many other players, you get something that looks like a, half-assed rip-off made in shades of brown out of mud, they wouldn't be very impressed. Like the player who wrote to me the other day saying, can we have dungeoneering but make it look like the underground pass? Yes, we probably could, but you really don't want us to do that kind of thing, because it looks pants.
So somebody typed in the chat, type WTF to confuse them, which they've done well.
They did that on my stream
Everybody
yesterday.
spammed that and people are confused. I'm like,
That's
I
me.
saw
But-
it, I'm all right.
But with minigames, I think it's about the impact it'll have, and seeing them come high on a priority poll would be
Very nice.
a way to tell us that you really want it.
Okay, next question. Nice Poseidon asks, why wasn't loot share polled today?
Because of there was quite a lot of different feedback on different elements about the design, and so we just wanted to hold off a week so we could discuss it more with the rest of the team and propose exactly what we want to pull, most likely next week.
In the meantime, if they do have feedback on the proposed idea, where should they send that? Twitter?
You can respond to the dev blog that's already up there, but Twitter and Reddit equally is also helpful. What we were discussing earlier was going down the line of offering shard share, basically. And underneath shard share, so for the regular drops that wouldn't be split into shards, you would have essentially completely randomized mode. So it would just pick somebody in the team and give that person or player the drop. And then the big splits, so if it's a Banderous Chestplate drop, it would split into 128 shards split across the rest of the team.
And the reason that we like the idea of the randomization mode is because it means that in the future when we do stuff like raids and people aren't always just going to be damage dealers, it means that they can also get rewarded for their role in taking down whatever boss they're going to be up against. And it's not solely down to the people speccing out.
Yeah, that is the biggest problem to me with just basing it on damage, or even basing it on like a damage distribution, is that when we have more complicated bosses, like with raids, if you're not solely focused on DPS and best DPS gear, you really lower your chance of receiving the drop. So splitting it among the team at a random chance means everyone can contribute by doing different roles and they don't miss out.
Presumably we'd have the ability to set a minimum rank in the chat for sharing, so
Yeah,
that people can't just sit.
all the same things that were part of the loot share system outside of how it chooses to drop would still be there.
Lovely. It's funny, when we asked for the engine features to do loot share back in 2014, that was so we could do clan wars at the time, rather than for anything to do with loot share. But the ability to do stuff with chat channels was how I wrote clan wars back in 07, so we asked for the same engine features so we could write clan wars in Old School. And we got almost all the stuff we need for a vanilla loot share system. We can't do anything very fancy with it. If we try to do coin share, for example, that would bring back all the gold generation that the game suffered from in later years. But we can't do anything adventurous like a better coin share system like some players have sent designs for. But we can do a vanilla loot share. And except that while we've got the engine feature for checking what rank is needed to share loot in a channel, they forgot to give us the command for setting what rank is required to share loot in a channel. Which is slightly embarrassing, really, but at the time we didn't notice because all I wanted to do was write clan wars for you. Anyway, Ian can give us the missing command easy enough now he's on the team.
Can we split loot with anyone in the friends channel at all, even if they are not ranked or friends even?
We can do it with anyone who's in the channel. We can do it even without caring whether they were in the room, although you may not want me to.
Well, yeah, anyone in the room, of course. Yeah. But yeah, for bigger community events, we've often had problems in the past with the other game that you need to add 100 people to your friends list, and there's no fast way to delete them either, and adding them all manually is annoying because you've got to constantly keep up when people leave and you add new people, so it's a nightmare to run big events.
We never know with some of the engine features until we try them out. After all, we haven't tried writing it, so we don't know exactly what they gave us back in 2014. But if we can't do that, maybe Ian can make it possible for us.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a big change, and even if it turns out to be a big problem in the engine, I bet we can find a way of hacking around it in outside of things.
Yeah, I think it'd be it's
I've got
a
some
very
ideas for that,
simple thing
actually.
that makes sense to have. So
Yeah, we've got a slight advantage. Like the way the ranks work in chat channels, rank 126 is the owner of the channel, and rank 127 is JMods, which has its advantages because if we turn up in a channel, we apparently rule, literally.
can we kick the owner of the channel?
I've never tried.
I want to now.
They can.
We'll find out. But since we'd never really need to set up a channel so that players could loot share, but only JMods were allowed to receive the loot, that's a rank that we're not actually referring to. So even if we weren't allowed to go all the way down to 0 rank, we can just add 1 to it and say only the owner and JMods can share loot, and that would be the way of hacking around it.
Yeah.
It's not like I've just had a lot to talk about because I've been away for 2 weeks and not had anyone to talk to about RuneScape with.
It's all right. I think they missed you. Moving on. My name is Mo asks, when can we expect to see the Ensouled head bag coming soon? Or coming in?
When did we say it was coming soon?
We said it was
Just
something
coming in.
Well,
We
it's
said it was
we-
something we'd like to do, and it will probably be on, I'd imagine, well, let's commit to it. It'll be on the first poll after we finish all the quality of life polls, the small top 10 ones.
Oh, you don't know about that? We decided that after you went on holiday.
Yeah, I read about it.
That's
It's
all
on-
right.
It's on the internet. People send me lots of quality of life suggestions from Twitter, and I told them, "Hey, I'm not there. Tell my colleagues. Tell my colleagues." After all, I wasn't sitting in Florida looking for messages to pass on by email all day.
I can imagine that.
If I had been, I imagine you told me to get stuffed or
Yeah,
something.
so I probably would have blocked your email address.
Next question.
We could have some really cool graphic for the head bag. I want to see what Alfie could do with that.
Can we call it the head sack? I just want to.
We could.
See, I like the idea of just having a belt with the heads that hang off it.
Yes,
on the
those
side
are.
of it, which would be quite cool. Something
Have-
like,
Do you remember the rat pole? The
Yes.
second most
Yeah.
useless item in the game.
yes.
What's the first most useful?
Oh, with the
Some
cage
sound
on
off.
top of it. Yes.
And rats dangling down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the player said, I've got my full rat pole, now what do I do? And I had to tell them, that's as good as it. My usual answer these days is, you have earned a warm, fuzzy feeling inside, talk to Django if you lose it.
Next
Moving
question.
on.
Domino asks, when will you be able to have 100% favor in every single house?
Don't know. You might not know about this one either.
I saw an email about that maybe changing.
Well, I couldn't
There's gonna be
remember
a
if you
lot
were
of
here.
this.
I can't remember if you were here when we had these
So we
discussions.
decided to change it a bit because the feedback was we want to do it all at once. So it's like, okay, well, fair enough. So we've got an idea that when you get 100% in a house, you go speak to a sculptor or somebody who will then remake that statue in the centre of Corrend. So effectively, it will be a big lump of rock, and when you've done all 5 houses, it will be a nice, pretty statue, and it ties it together and makes a bit of sense then.
Sounds good.
Yeah, when that'll be 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, when we finish the
Testing
quality of life, we'll have time to start
Yeah.
addressing things like that.
Yeah, there's a bit of text in one of the Shazian tasks where you go find the brigands spawning around the city, which I think refers to the statue of King Rada, but that's easy enough to change if we know to look for it.
Yeah, it'll still be a king, so it'll still be.
I imagine it'll still be the same king. It's
So
just
it won't
going
be a
to be.
statue of, say, you or something.
Yeah, that statue of you. I think that's what the players would vote for.
Are we
Should
gonna,
the statue, it's just a straw poll. If anyone's paying attention to the straw poll, should the statue in the centre of Corrend be of ash?
Not.
Yes
Really?
or yes?
I mean, what are we going to do if
No, we're not really going to do
Yeah,
it, but
okay.
I just wanted to see something where everyone's going to vote for it.
If it gets 100%, we'll do it. Bang on 100%. No votes for no.
I should go away again. I'd like to go away again.
I'm not sure if it's the name of Corrend, but anyway.
Yeah, our
Kourend.
Yeah, go for that.
Okay, so we're going to get a straw poll in the chat for you guys.
I expect this is probably not the spelling we're going to get.
Someone said no. Someone said no.
We're going to treat this straw poll as an actual in-game poll, so if it passes 75%, it happens. As we do treat the Twitch chat polls.
Wait, that's cheating.
Well, that's one way of doing it.
So let's head to the next question while we wait for the results. Then, May I Speak asks, would it be possible to increase the speed of the circle so it matches that of the magic shortbow?
We could do, but it would probably be just as useless as it is now because the special attack of the magic shortbow is better in 99% of circumstances.
Yeah, but it's true. They would also want it imbued by the bounty hunter scroll.
I think if we were going to do something with the circle, we'd want it to be better than that.
People are voting for the top option as if it's the yes option still.
Didn't we say we should have abstain on our questions these days?
They can abstain by not voting. Sorted.
So the results, should the statue in the middle of Corrend be of ash? 88% for yes and 12% for yes.
well, we didn't get 100%, so that's.
For what it's worth, the statue in the middle of Corrend looks suspiciously like the one they've got in Rio de Janeiro. The human Caesar statue they've got overlooking the city.
Christ the Redeemer, I think it's called, isn't it? Yeah.
That's
So are we essentially going to pretend that this statue didn't ever exist? The one that we have currently?
Well, we'll put some story in that the other one actually was not very good, so we knocked it off.
They had some like knockoff sculpture.
Yeah.
Well, for what it's worth, that statue was probably made by the player, technically. See, in Anacra's Lament, you have to help the sculptor Lazin build a statue for very, very weird reasons. That's the statue you build for him, painted white and enlarged slightly and stuck on a big plinth in Corrend, because Gareth and Alfie were running a little short of time towards the end of the Corrend project. So I put in an Anacra's statue so that we got something in the middle of the city rather than a gaping hole, which is something we did discuss at one point, having a big hole full of lizard men. If you don't like the statue, technically anyone who's done the Anacra's Lament, you made it.
Yes, indeed. There will be law for why it's changing. Just haven't decided what that law is.
Well, we could just put a broken bit of statue on the ground and say there's been a lightning strike.
Yeah.
From the
Or
sky.
vandalism.
Or like a meteor fell out of the sky and squashed it and left a big rock there. We're going to make something out of.
The problem is we don't have a sky.
Fell out of the blackness and.
These are some
Okay.
rubbish excuses for why that statue's not there.
Introduce the shooting star.
Yeah.
It was all
I'm
a
sure we
dream.
could think of a meme to get rid of it, right?
It fell off the big Tusker thing as it flew past.
Do we want to go down that route?
We don't.
Please explain to the chat what Tusker is.
Well, somebody said it. Let's see. Somebody knows what.
That's because you said it.
Crispy Kev is asking whether we can have a statue of Gnome Child.
No,
And there are
no.
no gnome children in the whole of
There-
Zaya, to my knowledge.
We
Unless
may
you've
as
had
well.
one.
We may as well rename Zare to Meme Island. We did that.
They will get to talk to Gnome Child before too long, I think. Some more.
Oh no, don't even.
I don't know what piece
Too
of
much.
content we've got in mind for that. But
It's too much, it's alright.
We've got a
too
birthday
much.
party coming up, haven't we?
April Fool's is coming up too.
Yeah.
When Gnome Child becomes a teenager, we're going to have to adapt his personality. He'll have to be angsty on top of everything else.
Well, considering we have an elder gnome child, I'm not too concerned
Yeah.
about him becoming a teenager.
What we won't have to do is adapt his height.
That's true.
Shall we move on?
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about RuneScape.
Sorry,
some more.
Chris.
RB asks, will the Let's Design Zaya live streams return?
Yes.
Alfred was going to be on the couch today. He's not right now. He's working. So, yes. I think they're waiting to start working on the next big project.
Yeah, they're working on a whole load of Corrend updates at the moment, so a whole load of graphical stuff for it to make it look even nicer than it is. Once that's done, then they're going to be starting on the raid bosses. And we have so far 11 new bosses designed.
Really? 11?
Yeah, 11.
Holy
On
cow.
4 more, and they're the minor bosses, then we've got the major boss still to design. Then a few rewards after that.
It's exciting
Job
stuff.
done. Job done.
Okay. People saying I'm definitely not mad, but somebody says to me after the Q&A, you only asked 20 questions this stream instead of 50. Like,
It's actually
cut me some
clearly.
slack, guy.
I tried leaving the country.
Next question. Does Old School have much in store for us at Game Blast?
Yes, lots.
Should we share any of that, or is it secret?
Yeah, well, I don't want to share too much because the stuff that's going to be happening in the stream isn't going to make too much sense outside of the context of the stream. So we'll announce it with
Okay.
a lot more stuff as that gets a little closer. But the big thing is, of course, bot busting.
Okay, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Hype.
We did the last bot busting stream we did was last Game Blast, which we did try to do one at Christmas, but unfortunately due to technical issues we couldn't.
Yeah.
So we pushed it back to Game Blast, but that's going to be big. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the one over Christmas we were about to start, but it wouldn't have let us actually stream the loot and show you what the bots dropped.
Yeah.
Is that right? Something like that. So
Yeah.
just couldn't do it. That's no
It was a
fun.
bit unfortunate. But yeah, we've also got a bunch of people coming to the office, of course, for Game Blast. A bunch of familiar faces for you guys. So we'll make sure to get them on stream as well and have some fun with them. Maybe some
New faces?
JMod shenanigans or AOAA JMod shenanigans and
Yeah.
whoever else we can get in there.
Yeah,
Might be worth it.
think of something.
I'm looking forward to Game Blast.
Again, this is what, the end of February is Game Blast.
February 26th.
Cool. All right, next question. Lazy Beef asks, Dragon Warhammer drop rate? Rare.
Couple of weeks,
Couple of
and then
weeks.
I'll reveal it on Twitter.
Someone asked me to tell it as a celebration of my announcement yesterday.
Any excuse.
Any excuse.
Okay, as a celebration of your engagement, can we have stealing creation?
If you write it and do the graphics in your spare time. Truth be told, I can't actually remember what the Dragon Warhammer drop rate is because it's been a couple of weeks and I had stuff on my mind.
I'll tell you after the stream, not now.
I missed what you did with your arm now. I'm sad.
Nothing unusual.
Well, that's normal. Come on, guys. Okay. A follow-up to that. Are the safe spots being abused at the Lizard Shaman intended, and can they be removed?
We can do. We
Yeah, I'm
can
happy
remove
to
them.
change that. As we didn't obviously intend to put safe spots there, they're meant to be quite challenging. So
Yeah?
yeah.
Cool. Loco asks, can we have the ability to clear the public chat box? This would be nice.
We can use the same hack we invented to clear the private chat box. It's a dirty hack, but we can do it.
I'll take it.
I like
Jim?
the one for private. I didn't know it was dirty either.
Well, we can't actually. We don't actually have a feature for clearing the buffer. So what we did was quite simply
Spam loads of empty ones.
just make it remember a timestamp of when you cleared it and stop rendering messages from before that timestamp. It also
Fair
means that
enough.
we could unclear it if we ever needed to, because they're still there.
All right.
Sounds good.
Tutorial?
Sorry, it got a bit awkward with one or two of the third-party clients that tried to transfer your chat across, because it turned out that when people said they wanted to clear their chat, one of the clients didn't know how to clear it or didn't respond to that and just kept showing it
We
regardless.
get the odd bug report about private chat transferring.
Oh yeah, if you are encountering bugs with a client and it's not our client, contact the people who wrote it rather than us, because we can't help with those.
Okay. Next question. Tutorial asks, can we get clue scrolls from woodcutting nests like how fishing got them a few weeks ago? Fishing just got them. Or what did we do?
Makes sense to me.
It'd be nice if we could do
Nests.
it for various skills in a big batch.
Yeah,
Maybe.
you have to do one by one though, right? Or
Yeah.
would you rather wait until we could do several at a time?
When you're digging up trees and things, you have a chance of uncovering a casket with one in.
You mine a geode, and in the geode is either something nice or a clue scroll.
Just happened to be in an iron rock.
The main problem is the more individual items that represent a clue scroll, essentially, the more things that have to be added into the check of whether you already own a clue scroll.
Oh, mod lazy.
So- So if you essentially just received a clue scroll straight up, it would be a lot easier than having, say, a nest with a clue scroll in. Or
Might as well just say a random event, some bird.
Yeah. Well, I think it's got to
flying
make.
by.
I mean, I think the most important thing is it's got to make sense that you're getting one from there.
Yeah.
You know, one drop by a monster is accepted as making sense. One coming out of a bottle in the water in the sea makes an awful lot of sense. And I think if you were just to dig one up out of the ground while you're farming, or one happens to fall off a rock as you're banging on a rock, you know, that's.
I mean, clue
I don't think
scrolls,
it makes any sense at all. To me.
clue scrolls as they are, you find a clue, you go around somewhere else, you dig, you find a different clue in the ground. Like,
Yeah,
just
the box,
kind of,
though, isn't it?
they're just everywhere, aren't they?
That's the thing. It's always in the box. So,
Who put all the stuff in there anyway?
ooh, that's a
the
good question.
mysterious old man.
This is a good one for Mythbusters. Hold on to that. Okay. Next question.
Mod mark. Carry on.
Statue. Thoughts on buffing Gargoyle in Neckrail drops?
What-
I don't
complaints
have
this week
any.
about them.
Don't really have any concerns as far as I can recall. Their drop tables aren't very good, especially with rune boots aren't very valuable at all now. aren't they?
Gmals are like 30k or something.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
So yeah, I would be certainly open to giving those a drop buff. Perfectly plausible for a poll at some point.
Cool. I did. I accidentally skipped over a question there. Apologies. I said this guy's name, but I didn't get to the question. Tutorial, can we get a 100% chance of getting the other color mutagen if you've already got the other color? So you got a blue one, you want a guaranteed chance of now getting a red instead of another blue because you've got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, the game can check that.
We do that with sire drops, don't we, for the bludgeon?
We do, although it's worth noting that if you get it, with the way the unsired things drop, if you've got an unsired that contains a bludgeon piece, that is not counted until you've gone and put the unsired in the font and got the bludgeon piece out of it. So if you keep the things as unsireds in your inventory, you can get duplicates because you haven't really got the item until you've taken the unsired to the font.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Which
Interesting.
caused slight annoyance to an Iron Man who was not feeling lucky that day.
A lot of no's in the chat. These are people who have already gotten 2 of them and are upset.
It's the sort of thing
That's
that
fair.
it's hard to change for some people if it wasn't done straight away.
If I recall,
Really?
we gave them mutagens of decent alch value. Not in the sense of it being an uber rare drop, but better than the poke in the eye of the blunt stick, as the expression goes.
Okay. Biomaster asks, could these quality of life polls become a recurring thing, like 2 per year?
Oh, they're doing it for 4 in a month.
Yeah.
They only want 2 polls a year.
As I say, we do quality of life polls. We're doing them for the last
No,
3
just a
years.
dedicated, specific month of quality of life stuff,
I
as we're
think
doing
so.
right now.
I mean, I like that that the players have reacted really well to it.
The one thing we got to avoid is saying we can't do that medium thing you want because we can only take small things for the quality of life poll. So provided we can still deliver the bigger things they want,
Indeed, yeah.
we can keep.
Yeah.
I like pushing out all the small ones. as
Yeah.
well.
Like
I
we're still
think-
talking about doing shard share or loot share. So
Good.
Yep.
Yeah.
If-
And this is why I think it worked really quite well for us this time because obviously we were talking about Jad, which isn't going to happen until next year. So we had this spare month, and if we come across that again, which we probably will, it seems like a good thing to pop in at that point as well. So yeah, works quite nicely, I think.
It's also a lot more fun working on the small things for quite a long time.
Indeed.
it allows us to get a lot of stuff in one update.
Yeah. Like
and
this week.
varying stuff as well. Completely. I mean, this week didn't even come out with one of those top
Yeah,
10
and
polls.
this week was absolutely packed with stuff as well. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it.
Given that Ash was on holiday and
Yeah, we were.
it all fell to Mod Jed and Mod Mass to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they pulled it off really
It's all
well.
my fault as well. On Sunday night, I'm sitting there looking at the looking at the membership figures and thinking we need to do something because it's February and we need to get more players in. And so we thought Tournament Worlds. So I came in on Monday and went, guys, I reckon we ought to put Tournament Worlds out. I oh yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. When do you want it? Thursday. They went,
Well, initially I thought it wouldn't be that bad because I thought we would just have to turn them on, but when it ended up, it was like we want to tweak a few things and make them a lot more usable.
Did we put any more? Did we put any more stuff in the chest?
I put all the new stuff from
Thank you.
Cerberus and Abyssal Sire in there.
Did we put the alien? Because
No, the alley's still not in there.
Yeah.
I added like anglerfish and that as well.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, so all good, and it ties in quite nicely with our 50th birthday and 3rd birthday as well, all going on this at this time as well. So
Excellent.
it's all quite wonderful.
And it's
Not
also
far
very
away,
pleasing
is
to
it?
me that I can just go away for a couple of weeks and the world
Keeps
does
turning.
very, very nicely. I might do it more.
Well, it's good for you. Like, get you having a break.
Yes.
I might do it again.
Next question. Killer asks, could casting Shadow Barrage instead of Blitz have an increased or 100% chance of stunning the Abyssal Sire?
Well, we're currently polling it so that all shadow spells would have 100%. Currently,
too
it
well.
is, I believe it's like 67, 68% or so.
Yeah.
So it makes sense as another option if that's a reason players would like. Well, if that's a reason that would make it pass.
Yeah.
If it's just the barrage, we could offer that as well.
Spend more on the runes. It makes sense to have a higher percentage. Not
Yeah,
necessarily.
it's also a
maybe
higher magic
100%.
requirement.
Yeah. Okay. Those saying Easy Escape have not killed the Abyssal Sire. Next question. My boss asks, can we address Void and Untradables in PvP sooner? Ronan and I spoke about this earlier. I think we'd like
Yeah.
to pull that.
Well, once we've run it past the team, because just to explain to the people watching the concept that is generally thrown around as a way to keep untradables useful in PvP while making them a little more balanced, stuff like Void, which is really strong. Without changing it, we want to just make it so it's not a free thing, and when someone kills you, they don't get rewarded with absolutely nothing.
Yep.
The idea is basically, if you're in the wilderness and you die to a player, your untradables like your Fighter Torso 5k Void sets would still drop to the ground in the same way that they usually do. You would still have to run back and get them as you do now, but instead of just picking them up as they were, you would have to get them repaired. So you'd pay a small fee, like call it, I don't want to put a number on it just because it will scare people.
Let's not even say a number. You
But
pay a small fee.
Some amount of GP will be dropped to your killer.
Yeah.
And then you would have to pay that exact same price to repair your Fighter Torso. So essentially there would be no GP coming in, assuming it actually goes back out again.
Yeah, it would all come from other players. There's no gold being generated. Means that the person that kills you is getting rewarded, as they should be. You are actually risking a little something for using that very strong gear, but you still get to take advantage of your account that you've built around that gear, and it would generally balance things out, especially in Edgefield PKing quite a bit. It is something that will be
PvP.
interesting to see what people think of.
Should we straw poll?
We've already straw polled it a few weeks back. It got like 80-something%.
Nice.
It's a big positive one in terms of the PKing community. It's the rest of the community, really. We have to try to convince that it's okay.
So would you use any pest control points at all towards this, or would it just be coins?
I imagine that it would just be coins, purely because currently you can just get it straight back, and I think if we introduced like costs, like pest points, it would be much more time consuming to do it, and it would be a massive hit to the people that have built accounts based around this sort of gear.
See, I was very for having it cost pest control points or Bob Assault points, etc. But I think the reasoning that it essentially makes them not reasonable to use in PvP anymore. And I think that's a solid reason, to be honest. Having them allowed to still be used in PvP, well, because they're not unreasonable to re-obtain, I think is the best system, as long as the killers are still getting rewarded.
And as long as people still have a reason to return to those mini games occasionally.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Moving on. Where are
Talking
we
about
here?
PvP as well, something I was talking to Ian about at the beginning of the week was about PID changes. And he'll be looking tomorrow to find out how big a job it is to change it so that instead of it swapping every game cycle, it could be every 100 game cycles or whatever we think is a good number. So hopefully we'll know tomorrow whether we can stick that into the quick PvP.
Sounds like a
as
big
well.
That would be
'Cause if we
fantastic.
can,
I think
that'd
that's
be a
the
good
best solution that we can reasonably do,
Yeah.
really.
It means that it's not entirely predictable, but it is a little more so people that are in like, ongoing fights will be able to tell
But
whether they need to spec or eat and stuff like that.
It'll just change once a fight, roughly, and so
Yeah.
there's no way that you can still carry on logging out, logging in, and getting paid that you would
You're not
benefit
gonna-
you in a fight.
You're not going to be able to, in all likelihood, take advantage of it somewhere like the Duel Arena.
Yeah.
But you'd still be able to take account of what your pit's looking like every 100
Yeah,
cycles.
they add that
in the
a little bit
wilderness.
of extra strategy into it. But the and when we normally came up with the original idea for the quick polls, we said they wouldn't do any game engine changes, and if this one is a case of changing a 1 to a 100, which it might be, it might not be, then I think that's one we can make an exception for, because I think a quick easy fix to that will be a big help for an awful lot of people.
Okay. Baratho asks, can you make it so you automatically use all your olive oil on the Shades of Morton Temple Fire Altar?
Don't see why not. Haven't looked at that code lately, but if they didn't mind it being one at a time, that should be fairly easy. If they wanted it to be all at once, probably possible.
Do you reckon that's what they want? I sounded it as it was just automate carrying on for the full inventory.
Well, that kind of thing we do very easily.
Yeah.
And I'd be very happy to get it in there.
Okay, cool. Next question.
I'd really like to see some new rewards for that Shades of Morton in general. At least a buff to the Amulet of Damned.
Torags in
instead.
particular would benefit from some love there.
Yeah.
Because Torags could do with a buff. Doing it via the amulet is a good way to make Shades a little more valuable as well.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right. Flower Power asks, can the Achievement Diary Cape have all the perks of all the diary items, just like the Max Cape has all the perks of all the skill capes?
All the diary items in one.
That's going to be one heck of a right-click option.
Yes, it really will be.
That might be a bit of a sticking point, in fact.
I think it takes away from the fact you have to wear them in separate pieces, and it allows you to wear, say, graceful instead. So I think there's probably too many advantages around it. Having it act like just the RD cape instead is a lot more reasonable an idea, I think.
Okay, a lot of no's in the chat there. Next question then. Aloe asks, can you change the useless level 90 teleport in the Arceus spellbook, and that's the Apis Hole one, to make it teleport you somewhere more useful, like the Chin Tunnels?
Where does it take you at the moment?
So yeah, currently it takes you under the temple
Yeah.
with the zombies.
Yeah.
Ah,
I would happily change that. It's just it was polled for under that temple.
yes, it was.
Yeah, so
It's not a very useful spot.
yeah, if
to
they
s-
want it
to stick
changed,
them.
then I'll happily change it.
Having it near the chin spot makes it a really nice, useful teleport. So
If I recall, the idea of putting it under the temple was because it's full of dead things. So putting it under the tunnels, where there's also full of dead things, would work quite well.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, just have to find a safe spot in those tunnels where you're not going to get
I already had
damaged all
one
the time.
set up.
Zoom
So
on.
the original teleport did go there because I didn't read the poll question.
Okay.
I then changed it to under the temple. But yeah, we could change it back.
Nice. All right. Let's see here. Next question. Lord asks, give broad bolts a percentage damage against task monsters.
Percent damage as in it does a percent of the monster's
yeah.
health?
No, like more
It's not
damage, like
interesting.
5% stronger against task monsters.
They're quite strong.
We've already got
They're
something that
like
gives
the
you a
equivalent
range
of
damage bonus there.
Addy bolts, aren't they? So they'll be
Yeah.
buffing them up closer to rune.
So if you have your Slayer Helm eye on
Hmm.
and you're using broad bolt, surely you're already getting the bonus.
I imagine he's asking for a stack here.
Oh,
Sounds pretty damn good
mm.
for such a cheap bolt.
I can see why he'd love it.
I'd
Yeah.
rather encourage people to use higher tier bolts.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next point. Next question. Sorry. Follow up to that. More Total Worlds. Asking specifically, people were asking free to play for a total level world. Thoughts on this?
We polled free-to-play total level worlds, did we not?
I believe so.
I think
It
it's been a while
failed,
back.
so-
I'm going to hope it's failed because it's not in the game.
Well,
So.
I'm fairly certain that we did poll that, and I don't think it was a very close one. Perhaps it's something worth looking at, different numbers for, or maybe once Abstainers in, we can take a look at it, because free-to-play tends to get a pretty bad rap when it comes to polls.
Yeah. True.
I think it's a reasonable idea, to be honest, in general, because of free-to-play has a worse botting situation
Yeah.
than members' worlds, and if you have a total level world, it's going to at least massively reduce the bots on that world.
You know, the players often ask for more total level worlds, even for members. If we bundled free-to-play ones into that question alongside it, so
Ooh,
that
sneaky.
players who want more worlds will have to accept that other people, not them, get the same benefit, they might be more inclined to support it.
Can we say Mod Ash asks this specifically?
Send
I'd
me your
like to
love.
do this. Are you allowed to?
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Next question then, one for Ronan. Uncle Conway asks, what's the status for the Battle Royale idea coming to Old School?
Right now, it's still a way off. We have to look at a design. I know that Boaty's going to be sending in a design. Skidler sent in a really well fleshed out design actually as well, which looked awesome. So we have been putting some thought into it, a few different elements that we can do for it. Generally, at the minute, it is just vague ideas. General concept is you go somewhere. It's going to be a mini game for the record. It's not going to be separate worlds like that, because that's not currently the plan. You go somewhere, you get queued in with a bunch of other people, somehow, similar to Castle War or something like that, and then you get dumped into a map, which will likely be portions of the existing map, something like Karamja, just an area that is familiar to you, but purely within it. And then throughout the map, there'll be a bunch of gear that you can go and pick up, and the goal is just to be the last person alive. It will close in, the map will close in the usable area, and the last person alive will win. A couple of ideas that we've had for this, one being a cost to play, so say 25k to enter, and then the winner will get the sum of all of the entrances, or maybe like 80% of all the entrance fees, and then maybe we could take the remainder, and after a few months of Battle Royale being a thing, we can dump all of that gold into a big reward pot and have a massive tournament with it, something like that.
I really like that idea.
And another thing, one aspect of games like, well, Battle Royale games, is always stealth, which is something that we completely lack in Old School. So we were
Some
thinking,
clever ones, like hiding under an NPC.
yeah, but that's so limited. So we were thinking about potentially something like a potion which makes you invisible for 15 seconds. You can't do anything during that time. It'll drain your stats to 0. And then for 5 seconds after you come out of it, your stats will still be drained to 0. So it is purely a stealth thing. You're not going to be able to get the jump on anyone like that. It's purely like you can sneak past people. If you time it right, there'll be like a limit, so you can't use it that often.
But it's not the tier of hiding under NPCs. Like, can you imagine you've got this man walking across and you happen to time yourself perfectly under the man to walk across the Varrock Fountain area and no one will see you?
We could
It's good as invisible.
We could add more NPCs on patrol so you can try and synchronise yourself with them. And make sure they have no click options so that you don't accidentally kill them while you're doing it.
But yeah, right now it is very much in the pre-planning stages, but we're shooting ideas around. If you have any suggestions or thoughts on the stuff I've just said, then let us know, because we're going to be getting going with that fairly soon, I imagine, and getting a solid plan in the works.
Yep. The only thing I'd raise is that if we do let people reduce their stats to 0 during this effect and then have them come back from 0, unless we're able to remember what their stats were when they started, which is not always the case, then players might find it's a very, very nice way of getting rid of stat sub.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be a problem. But hey, we can
We'll
figure
design
things
something.
out. Yeah.
Okay. Limport
Just
asks,
combat stats would probably make sense, to be honest.
More feasible, more feasible.
Sorry, Limport asks, when will we see Monkey Madness 2 pulled?
The design is being discussed currently still.
Yeah,
Design's
pretty much
awesome.
done.
It's almost there.
I'm not too sure when we're going to poll it though, and I'm not sure what we're polling exactly. It might just be the rewards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Um,
We have to poll whether we should do it, and we have to poll
The rewards
individual
separately.
rewards. Yeah, it's a separate thing.
yeah. We've said, I think 2 weeks back, that we were going to keep as much of the quest a secret, so you really are just kind of like hit by surprise.
Yeah, we have some like summary, like flavor text about the quest, and that's I imagine is what we'll tell you in the question about what do you want Monkey Madness to do. But it's Mod Jed and Mod John C have wrote the storyline and designed the whole quest, and it sounds. I'm really excited. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, they took us all into a meeting. We were all completely blown away by the idea. So
I haven't caught any of it. I was ill the day that they went into that meeting, and now they keep mentioning.
now you're
the
never
whole
going to
thing.
know. It's all a
And-
secret. Can't tell you. All right. Livey2 asks, can you pull slowing down the trident in dangerous PvP? A major benefit would be allowing mages to use Venge in PvP. No, I didn't write that down. Right.
What?
How do you spell that then?
Right. Trident in PvP slowed down is the question.
That's what happens with blowpipe, right?
Yeah.
So right now, obviously, mages, the only way they can fight is with ancients. You can't just use Venge, and well, I guess you could try to No, you definitely can't because there's no combat spells. So yeah, it's that or the normal spell book. This would give an ideal situation there for a Vengeance combo.
We left the Trident out of PvP because we thought they wouldn't want it in PvP. We then allowed it in a few safe minigames when the players voted for that, but they did not vote to allow it in dangerous PvP. If they'd allow it in with this nerf you're describing, that's fine. But I'd be a little surprised if they were in favour of that.
Yeah, some worries there about the polypore returning.
Well, it would be a polypore, effectively.
We would do our best to make it not as OP. So slow it
I
down a fair
I
bit.
don't really like weapons acting differently in different situations as well.
Well, the
to be
blowpipe
honest.
works quite well in that aspect, though, being twice the speed in PVM versus PvP.
Truth be told, that arose not because of design, but because we wrote a poll question in a way that didn't quite come across right. But speed is the kind of thing we can kind of a bit more relaxed about it. You're not using the weapon differently. You're not using different mechanics.
Yeah.
It just happens to be a bit slower when it next fires. So we're okay doing it. I just really want to be sure they wanted it.
I mean, adding any sort of new weapon to PvP is always a bit tricky.
Especially a weapon that allows you to go from, well, something else to auto-casting magic with one click. Something that Old School does not currently offer in a very meaningful way.
Good.
So to avoid creating the polypore again, the Trident was released with those restrictions. I'm not sure I'm seeing a lot of people saying they want that thing in PvP.
Nah, it's very mixed.
We could do a straw poll. Might be interesting.
Yeah, sure. Would you like to see the Trident slowed down and made available for PvP? Okay, we'll wait for the answers on that.
That would include the swamp variant, the toxic version as well.
Yeah.
Now, Danny Don in the chat suggests releasing those surge spells that came to the standard spellbook in later years.
I've seen a lot of talk about them.
We've discussed those a fair few times. It's always been a negative response.
Well, I think the negative response is they're just still not very good.
Yeah.
It's the problem.
Shame, really. From our point of view, it's really quite easy.
Yeah. Perhaps we could make something with the same name as Surge, but still make them useful.
Sergio.
So the poll was just entered into the chat there. If you want to scroll back up, you can vote. Do you want the Trident to be slowed down and made available in PvP?
Hot Money seems to say no, not so much.
Yes, we don't very often get many of these results come through with no bigger than yes, do we? So
Yeah.
I think that's...
Oh wait, the no's on top, is it?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's doing pretty good. No, that's not doing too good.
Nope.
Okay.
More nose than Pinocchio.
Wow.
Sorry.
More notes than House of Lords. Hang on.
He beat you to it, Matt.
No,
You got
that's-
beaten by dad puns.
It's you know, where they say no to the left, eyes to the right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
No.
When they vote in, that's not the House of Lords, it's the other one, isn't it? House Commons. They
Oh.
say noses to the left got this, eyes to the right got that.
That sounds like a Picasso face.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. But it's a bit of education for everybody about our democratic process in this country.
And Impressionist art.
When impression starts.
Next question.
Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution to the stream there.
I'll sit here and be quiet now. It's quite nice actually. I had nothing to say for most of it. It's been quite pleasant.
I've got one for you, Matt.
Go on.
Muzz asks, I have more trouble managing my saplings doing my tree runs than seeds. Can you add those to the seed box?
Saplings in a seed box.
A giant plant pot with a little sapling in it won't fit in that tiny little box that we give.
But we fit 28 sharks in a backpack.
And we're about to give them a kind of big sack for putting head in.
But it's more seen as something that, well, it's got two main uses that you would take it on when you're doing Slayer, so you'd be able to loot your herb seeds, etc. when you're slaying. And then when you go on allotment runs and herb runs, you'd be able to stock your allotment seeds in there, maybe your flower seeds and your herb seeds as well. In terms of a sapling run, do people run out of space?
Apparently, this guy does.
People run out
6
of space on
saplings
anything, don't
and you need some tree saplings and some fruit tree saplings.
I've seen a couple of people asking for that since the update went live. Not an overwhelming number.
Yeah, I mean I understand because that's a lot of what people do for farming and train it by trees and don't do herb runs.
You know, the question was directed at Jed. Has he answered yet?
I thought it was directed at Matt.
right, sorry.
I just pointed at Matt because I wanted
Oh,
to answer the question.
sorry.
Yeah, it's easy enough to do. We could do it if they wanted it.
Okay.
I would prefer them to have a cart they could drag behind them. You know, one of those little children ones with 4 wheels on it. And,
Like a shopping
handle,
cart.
They just sort of drag it behind them and they can stack them in there. That would make much more sense to me for carrying saplings around myself.
I think that's a cool. You know what? Farming pet. We need one, don't we?
Yes,
Just
so
give
a
them
cart which you
something
could
that.
put-
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, job done.
Yeah. Good idea.
You know those men with wheelbarrows near the Rock Museum going back and forth out the east gate of Rock? Well, some time back I just configured up an extra small one of those, a little man with wheelbarrow, that just fits into a 1x1 tile, so it makes a fairly good pet. We can just have it follow you around, squeaking.
Yes.
Is that gonna
and
be
you
the
can't turn the
What,
sound
is that the
effects
workers' gate?
The new 3R.
Oh,
That's a good idea.
we're planning on. I think we'll plan on pulling that one. Allow players going through it. I mean, for the general quality of life.
Actually, I just
I've
wanted to
seen
have
that come
little men with
up
wheelbarrows.
so much. It's
Okay. Next question. Riskit asks, can we have more time to loot after killing a bounty hunter target and receiving a new one?
We have the PvP quality of life poll coming
Yeah.
is it next week.
Yeah, that's the first thing that I've got listed down on the potentially on the poll.
Yeah, there's a
things
lot
right
of
now.
bounty hunter things.
For what it's
going on.
worth, this guy has asked a fair few of these questions, which we've asked before. Many of them, of which we've asked multiple times, actually. But I've got a few more here. If we can kind of try to skim through these before the Q&A is over. Can the 6-minute death penalty in Bounty Hunter be lowered?
Almost certainly.
So, I mean,
It was to
the
stop you
issue
from
is,
boosting it.
Yeah, boosting
but-
is the issue is there for.
Yeah. Okay.
Can be done but shouldn't, basically, I think is the answer.
Can players always be respawned north of the duel arena after the duel ends? So currently, for some random reason, like every other duel, you spawn back at the side entrance of the duel arena where you tele to.
Is that related to how busy it is?
It's not busy.
Is this just bounty hunter worlds that people have,
Well-
often have it on?
I don't use it on the non-bounty hunter.
I think it depends where you start the duel, does it not?
I believe
Oh.
it does because I've never experienced it when doing Deal
I think
Arena.
it's where you start and if you win or lose determines it. But
So
okay.
if they're running into Deal Arena
Yeah.
and doing it at the side, if they're obviously like a challenge in that area, it tries to put them back somewhere near where they've challenged for either the winner or the loser.
Yeah.
Hence, half the time you're getting put there. That sounds like
Makes sense.
we can look at it. We can look at it.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, we can certainly reprogram it, whatever it's doing.
All right. Can box traps only be placed around or near hunter areas?
Fine by me.
Okay.
And maybe in those hunter areas, flowers cannot.
Ooh, that'd be very nice. Yeah.
No lighting fires, perhaps as well.
Oh, another question. I don't think I got around to asking this one. To stop players from lighting fires, or to allow players rather to light fires on top of flowers. Because if you're doing a line and then somebody does a flower there, you can move.
Matt said in the chat, Deal Arena either puts you where you challenged or at the default coordinate, and said
Do
that
we
it
know where
can
that is?
change.
Well,
Regarding the flowers and the fires.
I'm sure we could make that possible. At the moment, it's looking, is there something in this tile that we don't want to delete? And at the moment, if it says if there's anything there at all, it says no, we don't want to delete it. If we said you can if it's flowers, I'm sure we could do that for fires.
Cool.
That code was right pig's ear, but or mess, I believe that's a British expression. I tried to tidy it up a fair bit a while back. Apart from a slight whoopsie involving the Castle Wars lobby, it's now a lot easier to deal with, so we should be able to make this change you're describing.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to try to get through the suggestions with the images before we run out of time, but there's just, I think, one more question here, two more here. Could players be allowed to show their items to their bounty hunter target in a trade screen without the accept button working? So currently you cannot trade your bounty hunter target, so that you can't sell the kill, obviously.
Does the bounty hunter risk indicator still use ALK value rather than G value?
I do not remember changing it.
I think
So
if we
probably.
updated that to use
don't-
G value, it'd probably give people a much better idea.
I don't think it matters because it says high if you have an AGS, but if you're protecting item, you're not losing it. So
That's true.
it's
We could change the restriction anyway, so that it does let them open the trade screen, but not go not go beyond the accept.
that'd be very nice.
I mean,
There was one suggestion that you'd be able to deposit coins to like the skull guy and have them added to your risk. For some players will add cash in their inventory to offer cash risks to balance out the
Sounds more like a
risk
duel.
between them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sort
that's
of-
the thing.
Simultaneous fight.
You can just do it at duel arena.
We discussed that kind of thing in the run-up to Bounty Hunter being made and released, and generally that idea didn't go down so well as a whole. It came up a fair few times, but I think people just saw it as a bit clunky and...
Well, they're not wrong, but it remains as possible then as it was. But it remains as possible now as it was then when they didn't like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, is there one there for restricting bounty hunter targets to people in level 20 wilderness or below?
There
Yeah.
was, yes.
How do we feel about that? Because, well, yeah, obviously the idea of bounty hunter was to lead people over the wilderness and have them really take a risk if they want to hunt down their target. Most of how people play it ain't up there.
I'm
I think
100% for
an
that.
overwhelming number of people that are using Bounty Hunter on a daily basis are doing so purely in Edgeville.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you see people going elsewhere.
If the rule were they only assigned people who were in the low-end wilderness, but did not count it as quitting the wilderness if they just went up further north, then we might still, well, might really help them around Edgeville
Yeah.
without actually disrupting how the game could be played if they wanted to do it differently.
I think that'd be
Sounds
cool.
like a great idea.
That is one of the ones that we were potentially going to be including on the poll.
Good. And we could also say that low-level wilderness does not include the area underneath Edgeville.
Yeah, that's a good
I think
shout.
PvP's been one of the most popular ones for suggestions, right?
Yeah, honestly, like
we don't
getting
do many of
suggestions
them.
for skilling and PVM, there were a lot of suggestions. Of course, we did have certain things that we could and couldn't do, but I mean, we've had so many come through for PvP.
Well, for a lot of 2015, skilling was the big thing we had been neglecting a fair bit, partly because of the results of priority polls where people just kept not voting for us to spend time on skilling updates.
Yeah.
But in 2016, we have redressed the balance somewhat with skilling updates, and now I'm really quite happy to turn our attention to PvP again.
Absolutely.
So with the last few minutes, we're going to get to the exciting bit, the pictures. You guys love these suggestions. The first one being from level 100. What? Give us this graceful set color once we've gained 100% favor for each houses of the Great Grand.
See, Mod
Trying to
Jed
read
made
this right.
this, and as soon as I started testing it, I was like, I bet this is going to be like top of Reddit.
Who made this?
As soon as Mod Jed developed the recolors for the graceful outfit, I knew that somebody was going to ask for the outfit that Austin's wearing. If you had an opinion on it.
We could do it.
Yeah, they've got to grind quite a bit to get that.
I mean, once we add in that 100% favour, obviously, we can start looking into things you can do when you have 100% with all the houses.
Yeah, maybe that's a good one. Maybe
Yeah.
once you got 100% in all, you can have that.
So then we
But-
can start to have unique things. But
The funny
Until
thing
that
is, you said that you left that one because you thought it was ugly, and now everyone loves it.
I saw some God Jeds in there.
I only made that one so I could recolor it easier. It's not meant to look good.
Mod laser.
All right, next one here from Wubba. A suggestion. Tell what each special attack does.
I like this idea.
It was a cool idea.
We can do that.
I think it'd be cool because I don't think it's even. There's no in-game text that tells them like the name of what the special attack is, right?
No, there
We
isn't.
just have our own
just
name
gotta
for
guess.
it.
And
Like
for some of them we don't.
I'm going to say
slice and dice for
the
Dragon
vast
Claws, for
majority of
example.
them think that the whip spec does nothing anyways. So maybe telling them it does
Well, it
something
might
will be
as well do
reassuring.
anything.
Yeah,
Well, I didn't know it had the accuracy
that should be
boost
just a
in it.
description of it. Might as well do nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that's certainly true.
Next one, Boulder Falcon. Suggestion, allow us to choose a short, full beard from Ajat from the Warriors Guild. Believe it or not, this was very widely suggested.
Moving on.
Just wear a
No
face
input,
mask.
are we gonna? I think.
What input do they want?
I
Yes,
don't
you
really
can.
see a problem with it at all.
Yeah.
We can
That's
always
the-
try and do the 5 o'clock shadow that's
Yeah,
used
that's
by
what
some
it
of the
is.
more grotty NPCs around the game. Not that people with 5 o'clock shadows are grotty, I'm saying.
All right. Last suggestion here. Elite Shade suggestion: high Alex safety increase. There's quite a bit to this image.
I can't read it.
So basically, like it says right now, a rune chain or a rune kite. You might want to alch that, but it says it's a valuable item. When I
We
think
could
it
let
says it's
people-
worth more than it is.
To be honest, if we're going to have a toggle on it, we could just go a step further and have them set their own threshold.
Indeed. That seems logical, doesn't it? Nice little slider.
I think you can alk rune change to the same price you sell them for anyway, so. It'd be a fair few amount of things for them to go through and customize each one though, right?
Well, that's the thing. If we set the threshold in terms of value, then if they want to outrune stuff, then they set it quite high. If they don't want to outrune stuff, they leave it where it is by default.
Okay.
And if they really only want to be protected from accidentally alking a hilt or something,
Does it run on the G values?
it's currently, I think, working off G values, but could instead go off something different.
G values is the logical one.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, just running out of time here. We've got some more questions we're going to go ahead and save for next week. Again, guys, there's currently we're doing the PvP poll. PVM right now. PvP is next week. That's right. And then we're doing one last miscellaneous, whatever's left over poll the following week. The tournament worlds are open. Go ahead and enjoy those. You'll have Dragon Claws in those soon, TM. Ash is back